Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Coming up tonight, the country reports record COVID cases. The health minister calls it challenging. The controversial virtual Junkanoo production to be tweaked and rebroadcast. The VAT reduction rolled out smoothly. And a man convicted of rape and housebreaking decades ago could soon be freed. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, amid an increasing number of hospitalizations and confirmed COVID cases daily, Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville says government is doing all it can. He tells reporters while government has its role to play, Bahamians must also do their part. Kyle Joaquin has the story.
When we caught up with the health minister outside Cabinet to ask what the Davis administration was prepared to do amid this rise in hospitalizations, he said, quite frankly, the Davis administration is doing all it can in the middle of this fourth wave of cases.
Well, the government is doing all that we can do with this situation.
With 55 COVID-positive people in Princess Margaret Hospital alone, the past week has seen a drastic increase in hospitalizations. During the Christmas holiday weekend, it was in the teens. And now, with hundreds of cases being confirmed daily, Darville said the situation is challenging.
It is a challenge. We will definitely be untrue to say it's not a challenge. And what we're experiencing, every country around the globe is experiencing these amount of cases because the virus is so transmissible and very infectious. And as a result of public gatherings in private places, everyone is susceptible.
Darville said after a number of large gatherings over the holiday weekend, numbers are much higher, creating this concern for health officials.
What is concerning us is the percentage of testing is proving to be higher than we anticipate, which is an indication that the disease burden is relatively high in the country. And we are now preparing ourselves to ensure that we have adequate healthcare protocols in place so that if there is a surge that possibly could take place with hospital admissions, we are in a better position to deal with it.
Between Thursday and Sunday, 1,535 cases were confirmed. According to Darville, the free testing pilot program for New Providence began Tuesday morning at vaccination sites. In addition, government has begun giving out free masks. But with over 100 healthcare workers on New Providence in isolation or quarantine and over 30 on Grand Bahama, there is also a manpower concern in the public healthcare system.
At our legacy unit, we have admissions and we're opening up more of the tents. But I must admit that due to the exposure of some of our staff members, some of the essential services had to be cut back. And even though we have sufficient bed space, we are now restructuring to ensure that we find a staff where individuals who will be admitted will be able to go in those particular wards.
Darville said an additional 50 nurses are being brought into the country in addition to physicians being brought on. But while government does its part, the health minister says the Bahamian public must understand its role.
It's very important that the Bahamian people realize that they have a part to play. We must execute the proper protocols and ensure that we wear our masks when we're in public places and we are able to go from place to place, minimizing our contact with individuals.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
In other news, a man who was convicted 37 years ago and ordered detained at Sandilands Rehabilitation Center could soon be freed following an order from the Privy Council. Bethany McDermott has the details.
A man who was convicted of rape and housebreaking in 1984 and ordered detained at Sandilands Rehabilitation Center until discharged by the Governor General is getting a second chance at freedom following a Privy Council order. In April 1984, Christopher Stubbs was sentenced to 7 years in prison on each count after conviction. 36 years later, Stubbs sought leave to appeal to the Privy Council, arguing that his confinement was unconstitutional and a breach of his rights under Article 20 of the Constitution. His attorney, Sonia Timothy, says the decision has wide-ranging implications.
This appeal and the decision of the Privy Council not only impacts Eric Stubbs, but others who are in a similar position as he is, who have been detained at Her Majesty's pleasure, who have been detained at the Governor General's pleasure.
Due to mental challenges, Stubbs was sentenced to Sandilands Rehabilitation Center and has been there ever since. Stubbs appealed the conviction and sentencing in 1985, and both were quashed. In June 2021, the Court of Appeal dismissed Stubbs' application, ruling that it was woefully out of time and a more effective remedy may be to write the Governor General and make a case for discharge. On December 15, 2021, the Privy Council allowed the appeal and ordered the matter be remitted to the Supreme Court and the decision of the appellant's potential release from detention be considered no later than 3 months from the order.
I trust that that Parliament will act expeditiously in amending the Section 192, subsection 1 of the Criminal Procedure Code, and to put in place the power by virtue of statute that is necessary to not contravene the Constitution.
The matter is scheduled to be heard before Justice Bernard Turner on the 21st. At that time, a psychiatric and social report will be considered on if Stubbs is suffering from a mental disorder requiring him to be detained in hospital for medical treatment. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, the virtual Junkanoo Rush Out that aired on New Year's Day will be fixed and rebroadcast, according to Youth, Sports and Culture Minister Mario Bowleg. The quality of the production, which cost the government $300,000, was widely criticized on social media after it aired, prompting the ministry to remove it from its Facebook page. Bowleg says there were a number of challenges, including most of the production team catching COVID-19.
We are in a COVID environment, and sad to say, 90% of the production team got COVID, and they were unable to do their work that would allow them to meet the deadline, or do their work to the perfection, I should say, to allow them to meet the deadline that we wanted to air the production. Unfortunately, the work that they would have put in would have not been sufficient to satisfy us. But again, I'm not taking anything away from them. They're going to correct their errors, and we can move forward.
Bowleg says he expects to see the corrected version of the production by January 9th. Despite the challenges and backlash, the minister says he's proud of the effort made by the ministry and the company.
There were challenges that they faced that caused the production not to be up to the standard that the ministry, JCN, or the country at large would have liked to see it. We are correcting those challenges, and we intend to, once the stakeholders and myself and the ministry review the corrections of that production, and we intend to air that again.
Days after the rollout of the value-added tax reduction from 12% to 10%, the Economic Affairs Minister and 2 business officials say so far it's been smooth sailing. Berthany McDermott tells us more.
The rollout of the reduction of VAT went smoothly, according to Economic Affairs Minister Michael Halkitis, who said so far there haven't been any bumps.
It's gone very smoothly. We haven't had any hiccups, or any hiccups that I've heard of, but if we have any, we'll deal with them, but it's gone very smoothly. People have already begun to experience the savings, and as the days and weeks go on, we'll have more and more people experience the savings that it brings. So far, so good.
Value-added tax was reduced from 12% to 10% effective January 1. It was a promise made by the PLP while on the campaign trail. The Prime Minister made the official announcement back in October and said the 2% reduction would also come with the elimination of the zero VAT rating on several items. Today, Halkitis' sentiment was echoed by these business reps who said it was smooth sailing.
The transitioning of turning over the prices, we didn't have a hassle on doing that because our VAT is always added at the register point. So it's just a matter of our system turning over.
Well, the first thing we did was the evening of the 31st, we made all the adjustment on our pricing in our computer system, which included all of our pricing on our website. So effectively, January 1st, all of our website and the pricing was updated to reflect the 10%, the new 10% VAT.
News that VAT would be implemented across the board came with its fair share of criticism, as many suggested it would hurt the poor. CBS Vice President Brent Burrows said around 150 items in the store that were once VAT-free had to be readjusted. Still, both business officials say so far the response to the VAT reduction has been positive.
They're pleased to see that, a reduction in the price. As far as any complaints that the pricing on the shelves are not correct, we've had no complaints at all. People have been able to look at the website and see the correct price.
Well, it was exciting for them. They're like, oh yeah, I can buy me a Gatorade today.
Since the rollout, some have complained that businesses still charge 12% on items after the implementation. Halkida said those individuals should reach out to them.
Anyone who is being charged 12% should contact us at the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Economic Affairs, or the Department of Inland Revenue. The reduction from 12% to 10% went into effect on the 1st of January 2022, so everybody should be charged 10%. The repercussions go all, in the first instance, you just tell them, listen, be aware that it's 10%. If it persists, and then you have, penalties beyond that.
Now, while the official rollout was January 1st, CBS Bahamas says they're still working on final tweaks, which include changing the prices on the shelves. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks, Berthany. Well, cloudy conditions with a chance of showers tonight. Meteorologist Greg Thompson has the latest from the Weather Center.
Thanks, Christina. Welcome, everybody, for your first look at weather on this Tuesday evening. Cloudy conditions outside our studios and temperatures are in the low 70s, kind of cool out there. A light breeze out of the east at 8 miles per hour. We have some light showers out there. Mostly cloudy skies and your feels light temperature near the 70-degree mark. Satellite view, that frontal boundary that moved into the northwest Bahamas, now parked across the New Providence, Andros, and the Eleuthera area. Cloudiness associated with that frontal boundary will persist throughout the night. We could see a couple more sprinkles as well, but we expect this front to meander for at least another day or two before things clear out, and then we expect another frontal boundary by the weekend. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, how much longer could virtual classes continue? And the former health minister's warning not to take the latest COVID surge lightly. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
As students start off the new year in a virtual setting, State Minister for Education Zane Lightbourne says the Ministry of Health will have to determine when face-to-face learning resumes. The January 11th resumption of in-person learning was delayed by 2 weeks amid a rapid rise in COVID-19 cases.
It's a health call. We note that the cases are spiking. However, the severity of the cases of the disease isn't causing a lot of hospitalization, and so it would have to be health that's continually guiding us through this part. So I don't want to respond to if that's realistic or not, but that's what they advise that we do.
Though the vast majority of new cases have been confirmed on New Providence, schools on the Family Islands are also using virtual learning. Lightbourne was asked if there would be an adjustment for those islands with few or no cases.
This is something that we are looking at. We are aware that there are some islands that are requesting a different mode of opening and operation. All during the holidays we've been in meetings and discussions concerning this. And really it is the health experts that's advising us on it. And we don't want to put at risk especially our young people, our children. We know how critical it is to be fully face-to-face, to have education in this modality. To be delivered, but we honestly, we don't want to take the risk if we don't have to, and if health is telling us this is a risk.
Former Minister of Health, Dr. Dwayne Sands, is warning Bahamians against taking the latest surge in COVID cases lightly. He pointed to the detrimental impact it's already having on healthcare services. Jasmine Brown reports.
The former health minister's comments came just hours after Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Michael Darville told reporters outside Cabinet that more than 130 healthcare workers on New Providence and Grand Bahama are currently out of the system due to COVID exposure.
When you have 130 healthcare workers unavailable to respond to whatever surge that shows up at the emergency rooms and at the clinics, it means that you don't have the same capacity that you did a month ago, 6 months ago.
Sands, who recently tested positive for COVID-19 and is in isolation, says there should be no doubt that the healthcare system is already strained.
If you happen to get shot today, you got a problem because you got several senior surgeons out.
He also noted that it is dangerous to assume that the uptick in cases is being driven by Omicron alone, and said the Delta variant, which might cause more severe illness, could also be contributing to the high case numbers.
The statement that, okay, caseloads are high, but hospitalizations are low, we don't know that, because there's typically a lag between cases and hospitalizations and hospitalizations. So let us hope and pray that this is entirely a surge of Omicron.
The Bahamas has confirmed record numbers of new COVID cases in the past 2 weeks. Nearly 2,000 cases were confirmed in the last week, with 520 recorded on December 30th alone.
It's a frightening time for many Bahamians.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, a ship with COVID cases on board denied entry, and Bahamian basketball stars start the new year on a high note. We have the details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. An MSC cruise ship was denied entry to its private island, Ocean Key Marine Reserve, in the Bahamas last Thursday after a number of its passengers and crew members tested positive for COVID-19. Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville says the tough decision had to be made after the Ministry of Health learned more about the situation on board the ship.
If we feel that the ship has too many positive cases on board, it is the Ministry of Health responsibility to protect the well-being of the Bahamian population and try to find that balance where we are able to ensure and feel confident that the cases that are on board the ship have the capability to be isolated and quarantined. And when we don't feel that's possible, we will have to make those kind of tough decisions.
The MSC Seashore had to spend an extra day out at sea before going to its next stop. Dr. Darville says government is reviewing protocols for cruise ships amid the fourth wave of cases and will give an update in the coming days.
We are looking very closely, and multiple discussions have been going throughout the weekend on best ways how we can accommodate the cruise ships and to minimize the disease burden on board the ship. Those discussions are still ongoing. That is not completely finalized yet, and the minute it is done, I will be free to discuss it with the media.
Shifting gears now, both Buddy Hield and DeAndre Ayton picking up wins in their first games of the new year. This as Big Ben leads the Steelers to a big win on Monday Night Football. Marcellus Hall has the latest tonight in sports.
Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Welcome to 2022, everybody. And it seems as if our NBA players with some new resolutions heading into the new year, both in action on Sunday, both looking to pick up wins to start things off on a good note. Let's take a quick look and see how they did. Buddy Hield, Sacramento Kings at home hosting the Miami Heat on Sunday. This one turns out to be a pretty good game. Goes right down to the wire. And at the end of the day, it would be Buddy and the Kings getting a much-needed win as they continue to struggle throughout the course of the regular season. Buddy, once again, coming off the bench. He would play 33 minutes, finished 9 of 18 from the field, a total of 26 points as he leads the team in scoring. 26 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists on the evening for Buddy, as he also made 7 of his 14 three-point shots on the evening. Once again, Kings get the win, 115 to 113, ending up being your final. How about DeAndre Ayton? Well, he and the Suns also in action. They've been getting wins a lot lately, so wins not an issue. They took on the Charlotte Hornets, and this one not even close. The Suns getting the win here, 133 to 99. Boy, they put a whooping on the Charlotte Hornets in this game, absolutely taking it full control from start to finish. Not much of a contest here. As for DeAndre, once again sitting out the game because of an injury issue, unable to get into this one, but his team nonetheless picks up the win, 133 to 99. Looking at your Monday Night Football final game, perhaps for Big Ben Roethlisberger, as he and the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against their arch rivals, the Cleveland Browns, in this game. And again, probably potentially they say the last game for Big Ben at home, wanting to go out with a win, and his team much obliging him as they get the victory here after an early lead. They allowed the Cleveland Browns to get back into it, but at the end of the day, it's the Steelers getting the win. 26 to 14 ends up being the final score. Big Ben leading the way in the emotional game at Heinz Field, perhaps his final play at that stadium. Reporting for On Sports on this first Tuesday of the new year, I'm Marcellus Hall.
Thanks, Marcellus. Greg is up next with a check on weather, coming up when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. A mixture of sunny and cloudy conditions this week. Greg is back in the Weather Center.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome back, everybody, for your second look at weather. That frontal boundary that moved into the northwest Bahamas now parked across the New Providence, Eleuthera, and the Andros area. Some moisture associated with that frontal boundary will continue to persist across our area. So we're looking at some mostly cloudy conditions throughout the rest of the night. And we could see some clouds weakening and dissipating tomorrow. But we do have a weak disturbance moving out of the Gulf of Mexico that's basically going to keep that frontal boundary hanging around for at least another day. Front is expected to back up towards north, but by the end of the week, we do expect another frontal boundary to swing through, and we should see some nice changes in our weather once again for the weekend. Boating conditions for all areas tonight. The winds will start off out of the northeast at around 50 knots across the northwest Bahamas, but they will be falling off, becoming east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots across all areas tomorrow. Caution flag posted for you guys out there on the waters. We do expect seas to be near 2 to 4 feet, but up to 6 feet along the Atlantic exposed shorelines, so do exercise some caution. Your high tide will be at 9/11 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. Cool and comfortable weather expected for the next couple of days, and another front by the weekend. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.